Hello my friends, my name is Artur and I am an Estonian YouTuber. USA has a lot of nuclear weapons, a lot of nuclear power plants, and a lot of nuclear waste and everything like that. I went to Patreon and there was a Patreon called Kvelta and he recommended to me this video, the Demon Core. I haven't watched it, but I know it's something about USA and nuclear, so it's supposed to be quite interesting. Let's just entertain ourselves together. What's this? A package right here. Whoa! A package from Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan, you know, the country of oil in vast richness and dictatorships. Indeed, yes, Kazakhstan has a president for the last 25 years. I think he's the same dude, but doesn't really matter because we got a package from Kazakhstan. We're gonna open it in the middle of the video. Everything happens in the middle of the video. We will carry on with the Estonian Youtuber Cup competition, and oh boy, today the tables will turn once again. Every day they will turn again and again. The tables are always turning when it comes to the Estonian Youtuber Cup competition. But right now, let's see what's this Demon Core.
The date is August 1945, and deep in the United States' top-secret nuclear laboratory at Los Alamos, a 14-pound sphere of plutonium sits inside a lab, awaiting its insertion into the world's third wartime nuclear bomb. Yet it will no longer be needed, as after suffering dual atomic bombings and now facing an invasion fleet of 1 million Soviet soldiers, Japan has at last surrendered, bringing the Second World War to an end. Over 200,000...
It's so weird. The infographic show always has these weird animations, like look at this, the soldiers are all smiling and happy. Whee, yay, we're going to war! Under the red flag of communism, we're gonna kill people, but we love it! Woo! That's communism for you, my friends.
Japanese had died already to the 2 nuclear attacks at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and many more would die in the months and years to come from the deadly radiation. The 14-pound sphere of plutonium was meant to be the heart of the third atomic bomb, but is no longer needed. Yet the beating heart of an atom bomb would still claim more human lives before being disassembled. Plutonium was first discovered on December 14, 1940 by a team of American researchers at the University of California in
Wait, plutonium was discovered 1940, and 45 it was already utilized as a bomb. Damn, you Americans are fast, turning things you just discovered into weaponry. Very nice. I mean, some other countries maybe would have turned it into electrical plant, a nuclear power plant, but not Americans. No, Americans make weapon. Indeed, they immediately make it into weapon. What is this new thing you have discovered? It's plutonium, sir. What can you do with it? We can produce electricity. What else? We can kill 100,000 people with 1 second. I love it. Make me 10 more. America, everybody!
The new element had been produced during deuteron bombardment of a uranium target. The uranium sample began to rapidly emit electrons, which produced a new element, whose own nucleus would then emit a single electron and become element 94, plutonium. Originally, the researchers planned on submitting a research paper to the scientific journal Physical Review in March of 1941. But when it was discovered that a special isotope of the new element, plutonium-239, could undergo fission and be used in the construction of an atomic bomb, the paper was withdrawn and all research immediately fell under the umbrella of what would become the Manhattan Project. The US wasn't at war yet, but with researchers around the world racing to discover the atomic bomb, it could ill afford to fall behind.
So all of these countries were racing? I thought the Soviet Union and the US were racing, but look, there's Canada, there's China, there's Australia. What? Australia? What are you gonna do with an atomic bomb? Like, what? No one can attack you, you're so far away. And okay, there's Germany, there's France, there's Turkey. So many people researching for atomic bomb. I have a question. Nowadays, if all of these countries who have nuclear weapons nowadays, can you buy them as a country or do you have to develop them on your own? Like, do any other countries sell nuclear weapons? As US sells their weaponry, their F-35s, do they sell nuclear weapons to other countries? Just like, hey, take our weapons, give us a lot of money. I don't think they do, because that's like a very strong hand of cards, and you don't want to sell that. Like, everyone who has nuclear weapons, I think, have developed them on their own. Or stole them, as in the case of Soviet Union. Zayebi, suka.
Or let other nations get wind of the discovery. Plutonium would prove to be essential for the building of the first atomic bombs, but production of usable plutonium was slow, very slow. It wasn't until construction of a revolutionary new type of plutonium production reactor in 1943 that the new element began to be produced in quantities suitable for the building of an atomic bomb. The door to a working nuclear weapon had at last been opened, and it would never be closed again. By summer of 1945, World War II was all but over, and it was thought that America would not need to deploy the newly developed and widely feared atomic bombs. Yet by August, it was clear that Japan would not surrender. Its Bushido culture viewing the unconditional surrender demanded by the Allies as an unbearable.
Yeah, Bushido, the way of the warrior, where surrendering is the biggest shame you can bring upon your family. If you want to save your family from the shame of surrender, you commit seppuku or harakiri, which is like you cut yourself open up here with a knife, and then you read a poem and you die. And your family's honor is saved. You cannot defeat an enemy like that. Like, you need an atomic bomb, because this is like a mad dog. Japanese fought like a dog with rabies. Doesn't care about its own life, just cares about dying for the emperor. Banzai, you know, all that banzai stuff.
Disgrace. They would rather go down fighting to a man, and with Japan's military leadership firmly in control of the civilian government, it seemed to all that a hugely bloody invasion of Japan would be needed in order to finally bring peace. For their part, the Soviets were already massing huge concentrations of troops, recently freed from the war in Europe, along their border with China as they prepared to strike into Japanese-held Manchuria, where over 1 million Japanese soldiers still waited. Once Manchuria was neutralized, they would then look east toward an invasion of Japan.
1 million Japanese soldiers. They can do a lot of damage. Like, Japanese were crazy fighters. You couldn't compare them with Germans or Soviets. Like, they were insane. They were mad dogs. 1 million of those. You know, the few islands that America took fighting the Japanese on land, it was really damn bloody. Really bloody. They fought to the last men. But there were only a couple tens of thousands, right? But we're talking about 1 million here. It's impossible to invade them on land. You just need an atomic bomb, because you're dealing with brainwashed extremists who want to die for their emperor. You cannot really win against this mass. Except if you have an atomic bomb, yeah, which America does.
Itself, the realization that Japan was between a rock and a hard place gave some pause to American leadership on the use of atomic bombs. But ultimately, it was decided that the war needed to end as expediently as possible. So on August 6, 1945, Hiroshima went up in nuclear flames, the victim of the first atomic bombing in history. Initially, the Japanese government refused to believe the reports coming from Hiroshima. The total destruction of the city by a single bomb was unbelievable, and thus when warnings came from the US that they would deliver a second atomic bomb if Japan did not surrender immediately, they were largely ignored. 3 days later, Nagasaki.
Your whole city is destroyed, and the enemy does not attack you again, but warns you to be polite, I guess, or to just threaten. And still, like, I don't care, you can take one city, I don't care. Like, they don't believe it. I understand it's the first time in history, of course, it's hard to believe it, but still, like 60 or 70,000 people just died in a matter of seconds. It didn't move the emperor. It's hard for me to believe, it's really crazy. That's why they got the second strike, I guess.
Nagasaki joined Hiroshima in the ashes of history, and tens of thousands of people died in a flash of light. America immediately threatened the use of a third nuclear weapon, and shortly after, Japan sued for peace. Back home in the secret laboratory of Los Alamos, the 14-pound plutonium heart of what would have been the third wartime nuclear weapon sat in a lab, now unneeded for its original purpose. Codenamed Rufus, the spear would go from wartime use to peacetime nuclear research in a matter of days, as there was still plenty that scientists did not understand about nuclear weapons and the materials that made them up. Rufus, as it was known, would quickly earn a much more sinister nickname, that of the Demon Core. The first lethal accident caused by the core happened just 2 days after the cancellation of the Demon Core's bombing run, and less than a week after Japan's surrender. In Los Alamos, scientists were conducting experiments to measure the threshold at which plutonium would become supercritical. This was the point where a fissile material, such as plutonium in this case, accumulated in a small enough volume so that each fission event of the material would produce a neutron that would in turn strike another fissile atom, and cause another neutron to be created, which would then strike another fissile atom. This chain reaction is key to nuclear detonations, but without the very specific circumstances needed for an actual detonation, will instead result in the release of large amounts of radiation and extreme heating. These initial experiments to measure the criticality threshold of plutonium.
I'm quite sure they didn't do it like that. Like, I have a screwdriver, here's a plutonium core. Hey mate, write that down. Boom, boom, let's see what's inside. I don't think they're doing it like that. Like, with their bare hands and screwdrivers. With the plutonium core, it seems like difficult for me to believe that maybe they didn't know the existence of radiation back then, but still it's like, what? Use some protection, my friends. We're living in tough times right now. We have the virus thing going on and we are all looking for protection. They should have needed some also. My friends, now is the perfect time to jump into the Estonian Youtuber Cup competition. This heavenly cup is guiding me. This is why I didn't get sick. This is why I'm healthy, because I have the cup of the gods. The Estonian Youtuber Cup will protect me and you. Immune system, pooh, don't need immune system. I've got the cup of the gods. Welcome back, my dudes, to the Hall of Fame. Behind me you see all of the states and all of the countries that have been represented in the Estonian Youtuber Cup competition. If you want to add your state, your place of home, your roots to this Hall of Fame, then just get the cup. I have changed the layout a little bit. You can see that now these two are the states and this is just for the countries. The countries are with blue, as you can see, France, United Kingdom and Canada, and the states are here, and I added Idaho up there because it looks better up there. Mr. Andrew Wisenant, patron, who has told me that I wrote Massachusetts wrong. I wrote it with one T in the end. So Andrew, thank you for becoming a patron. I take patrons very seriously, and if you say I made a mistake, I will fix it right now. Thanks for pointing it out. We have Mr. Edgar Bermudez, Florida. Edgar could be an Estonian name. Edgar, not so much Estonian. Bermudez, it's very, I don't know, Spanish, Mexican. I'm gonna call you Edgar. Florida gets a point. Florida, Florida, does whatever Florida does. Can he swing from a web? No again, he's Florida. Look out, Florida gets a point. Brian Williamson. Sounds almost Nordic. The son of William, right? Guess where he's from? He's from Canada. Oh, Canada, you're getting another point. Canada as a whole country has 2 already. You Canadians, you're nice. I like you. Gabriel Ortiz. Gabriel Ortiz? It's more like Gabriel Ortiz because he's from Texas. Texas is now leading with 3. Damn, you Texans are crazy. I guess Washington is long forgotten history. We have Jim Ball. You use balls in gyms to work out. We have Mr. Jim Ball. It's just a funny connection. Come on, Jim Ball. Oklahoma. That's the 5th one for Oklahoma. Nice. Mr. Elliot Rousseau. It's like Rousseau, one of those French 3 vowels in a row type of names. Rousseau, we would say in Estonia. Rousseau. Rousseau, like the philosophizer Rousseau in the Age of Lightning in France. Well, that goes to Massachusetts with the 2 T's in the end. We have Mr. Jarvaris Goss. Jarvaris. I understand Jarvis. Jarvis was the guy from Iron Man, right? The robot. Tony Stark's personal bot. Jarvis, right? The program. But Jarvaris. It's like Varys from Game of Thrones and Jarvis from Iron Man coming together, and we got Jarvaris. Florida. You, Jarvaris, you're a Florida man. We have the 2nd Florida man. We had 10 in Florida, now we will have 11. Florida will switch from these kind of stripes to Arabian numbers, which is very Siamese. Now it is 11. Florida man. You're almost catching up to Washington. Florida man has saved Florida. If you watch the news and you see another Florida man doing some bad stuff, think again. Florida man is right now making history on the Hall of Fame. There's one more. What? This just in. We have Mr. Robert Mendez, Washington. But hold your horses. It's not just Washington. It's 3 points. Meaning that guy got 3 cups. Meaning Washington and Texas are now tying on 16. It's crazy. How is this always happening? I don't understand. I'm just taking the orders as a list as they come in. And it's, again, 16 versus 16. I love it. Tie, you see, 16, 16. What? How is this possible? Texans, Washingtonians. You impress me, truly you do. If you want to make history as all of these people, as Florida man, just go and get the cup and put your country or state on the Hall of Fame. Back to the video.
Had a foreboding nickname, tickling the dragon's tail. This was because the physicists knew that if they were not careful and awakened the terrible beast from its slumber, they were going to be severely burned. On the night of August 21, 1945, physicist Harry Daghlian would do just that, and in turn, the dragon would claim his life. That night, Daghlian returned to his lab after dinner and began criticality experiments on the demon core alone, which was in clear breach of safety protocols. The only person with Daghlian was a security guard seated a dozen feet away.
Why do you do it alone? Why? Is he so fantasized about it? Like it's such a new thing. He's like, oh, I want to do it now. I can't wait until others come back. I have to do it now alone. Why? Like, I wouldn't even think about breaking the security procedures if I'm dealing with a nuclear weapon. This dude is crazy.
But with no knowledge of physics himself, the guard's job was merely to ensure only authorized personnel entered the lab. As Daghlian worked, he surrounded the demon core with bricks made of tungsten carbide. The core was constantly emitting neutrons, but with nothing to bounce them back, there was no risk of going supercritical. The bricks of tungsten carbide, however, acted as a mirror of sorts, bouncing the shed neutrons back at the core, which would cause the reflected neutrons to knock other neutrons loose from the fissile plutonium. Each brick added around the sphere would slowly edge the entire material closer to a supercritical reaction. With the reflective bricks built up around the core, his equipment warned him that if he added any more bricks to the wall surrounding the demon core, it would go supercritical. Thus, Daghlian began to remove one of the bricks away. The sleeping dragon had been prodded, and though briefly roused, it still slumbered. As he moved the brick away—
Wait, so it's 1945, right? And they have already computers. I understand the computers are really big back then, the size of the entire room, but they were already using them. I figured the first computers are so heavy and so big and they couldn't help you much, so what could be the use of them in military applications or in nuclear tests like that? If they're huge, how can they warn you? How can What was the computer science back then? How evolved was it? Because I understand computer as it is nowadays was invented during the World War II. And already they're using it in nuclear labs. Quite crazy. If you know about this, write it in the comments. And I've seen The Imitation Game. I've seen that movie. Voila, my friends, a package from Kazakhstan. If you don't know what Kazakhstan is, then it's a country that has a lot of oil. It has the same president since the last 2 generations. It's quite closed, not very easy to get in if you want to go as a tourist. It's very good friends with Russia, and that's about it. Borat is from there. That's all I know about Kazakhstan. I know Kazakhstanian people don't like that Borat is connected with Kazakhstan, because Kazakhstan actually is quite an evolved country. It's very rich. But Borat, the movie, makes it look like it's one of those poor Eastern European countries, which it's definitely not. And I know Kazakhstan is quite rich on oil and everything, so we're here to break that. Mr. Danil Fatkin from Kazakhstan has sent me this package. Thank you, Danil, for sending me that package. I will open it now and hope it's everything that it says it is. It says it's candy. Whoop, whoop, whoop. It is candy! Hey, my friend. Danil, thank you for this candy. And also tea. Klassический chai, which means classical tea. We have some old school Soviet style Kazakhstan candy. We have those also in Estonia. They're like fizzy candies, very sour. I love them. Thank you. I don't know what they are. I will taste them. Also a letter from Danil. I will read the letter. Mr. Danil, thank you so much. Спасибо большое. We have Kazakhstan style chocolate. Now, it might taste like oil, but I think it will taste wonderful. It looks so beautiful, look at it. It looks lovely. Thank you. It's one of the most pretty looking chocolates ever. I'm gonna taste it right now. Ah. Smells like 45% cocoa. Oh. Good! You Kazakhstanians can do your chocolate. Danil, I will be eating this candy. Thank you so much. I love candy and sweets. Especially this is cultural exchange. And truly this looks amazing. If you want to send me mail, I will feature it in the video. I'll be eating this candy throughout this video and throughout the next ones. The address is here, you can send it. The address is also in the description of every one of my videos. Just send it, I'll feature it. Thank you, Danil. I'll read the letter also. I need more chocolate. Alright, let's go on.
He accidentally dropped the brick on top of the plutonium sphere, and in doing so immediately induced supercriticality. A flash of blue light and a wave of heat bathed the laboratory, and Daghlian immediately snatched the brick away, stopping the chain reaction. Unfortunately, it was too late. The dragon had woken, and in the brief second it had been roused from its slumber, it had already delivered a lethal dose of radiation to Daghlian. His hand, which initially felt tingly and numb, quickly became severely burned and then swelled up and blistered over. After weeks of severe pain and nausea, Daghlian was dead, and the Demon Core had achieved its first kill. A year later, physicist Louis Slotin was demonstrating a similar criticality experiment to a group of researchers. The criticality experiments were crude, even for their time, and known to be extremely dangerous. If
they're known to be dangerous, don't do them! No, hands up! I don't want to do it. Why are you people doing this? Why?
Enrico Fermi himself had warned Slotin would be dead within a year if he continued conducting these dangerous experiments. On that fateful day, Slotin's demonstration was as crude as it was reckless. Instead of using tungsten carbide bricks to reflect the neutrons back at the core and achieve criticality, a beryllium dome had been created which could be fitted over the core. Slotin began to lower the dome over the sphere, the neutrons fired off by the Demon Core bouncing back at it and feeding the nuclear chain reaction. Slotin knew that in order to prevent the mass from going critical, though, he would need to maintain just a small gap at the bottom and not lower the beryllium dome entirely. This would allow just enough neutrons to escape. Thus,
that is playing with fire, my friends. Why? A slight mistake, the dome falls upon the center and it's boom, everybody dies. Very dangerous.
Slotin used a screwdriver to prop up the dome from the bottom and ensure it would
So they are using a screwdriver, exactly as I feared. Just a screwdriver to mess around with nuclear plutonium cores. My friends, you're getting killed.
not cover the core completely. Scientist Raymer Schreiber turned from the experiment to see to other matters, ignoring what had become a routine demonstration by now. As he turned away from Slotin, though, the entire room was filled with a blue flash and a wave of heat. The screwdriver Slotin was using to prop up the beryllium dome had slipped, encasing the core completely and letting it go supercritical. Slotin immediately flipped the dome off, but just like Daghlian before him, it was too late. Everyone in the room received a massive dose of radiation, but Slotin, being so close to the demon core, received a fatal dose. Slotin was rushed to the hospital where he went through bouts of nausea and vomiting and then seemed to recover. However, within days he began to lose weight and experience severe abdominal pain. Slowly, he began exhibiting signs of mental confusion as his body literally began to break down from the inside out. To make matters worse, his insides had suffered what doctors called a three-dimensional sunburn, as the flash of radiation severely burned Slotin's body, in parts down to the bone. 9 days later, Slotin was dead, the second victim of the Demon Core. New procedures were immediately implemented to halt the reckless hands-on criticality experiments, and new rules forced scientists to use remotely controlled machinery from a distance of hundreds of meters. The demon
Yes, please do use robot hands or something. I know you haven't invented them yet, but still, people will die. Don't take a screwdriver to a plutonium core. Even I know this, and I don't know anything about nuclear energy.
Core, which was initially slated to be used in Operation Crossroads, the nuclear tests set to begin a month later at Bikini Atoll, was instead melted down and reintegrated into the US nuclear stockpile. Built for massive destruction, the Demon Core was once more cheated its ultimate destiny, but it had already gotten its revenge in the deaths of two brilliant scientists.
Science can also kill people, right? Tastes like Soviet Union. It's a really cool video actually. Yes, the type that I wanted. Light enough, not really serious. I didn't feel like doing a serious video today. I like it. I hope you enjoyed it also, and it did educate me a little bit. My friends, we are living in tough times indeed. No one can go to work. No one can go outside. In Estonia, actually, a law was made right now that three people are not allowed to walk outside anymore together or be outside. 3 people is already a gathering which is banned now. Only 2 or 1 people can walk outside just because of the virus thing, you know. So it's going crazier. Overnight 100 new infected were discovered in Estonia. It's pretty bad actually, pretty bad. Situation is going worse, but actually I see that you guys have a very good heart because we have 3 new patrons who I want to thank and who maybe you should also thank, because you patrons make this channel possible, especially now when it's very tough times. And I can also already see the virus thing hitting also my YouTube revenue. I don't know how it's connected, why? YouTube should not depend on viruses or like economy, but it actually is, somehow it is, because I guess companies don't want to advertise as much, and then YouTubers' revenue goes down. Anyways, it's down, so patrons, thanks to you I will make these videos. Jordan Lara Moore, thank you, Mr. Lara Moore. You want to help out more? Be like Jordan Lara Moore, become a patron. Logan Ferner, if you take out the N, it's Führer. Logan Führer, okay, it's Ferner. Well, thank you, Mr. Ferner. Aaron A.D. Kinney. AD means Anno Domino, right, which is like after Christ. So Mr. After Christ, thank you for becoming a patron. If you want to support, become a patron. But I understand also if you can't, because these are tough times indeed. Why are we here? Just to suffer. If you want to send me mail, the address is here. If you want to represent your state or your country in the Estonian Youtuber Cup on the Hall of Fame, go and get the cup. The link is in the description below. And as always, my friends, until my next video, stay cool and bye bye.